Sam, I'm a financial planner. What do you do? I was like, in my inner dialogue, I'm like, I judge people wrongly. That's what I do. And I was like, Sam, before I get to that, I'd like to just understand, why are you a financial planner? There's a lot of financial planners out there. Why are you a financial planner? He leans back in his chair and he's like, oh man, I love telling this story. You see, I used to be a cop. If there's gold medals for judgment, I would have had a gold medal at that moment. The Russian judge gives him 10 points. And I said, tell me more. And he explains the story to me as to how he went from being a police officer to being a financial planner. And then in that moment, after I got done listening to him, I was like, okay, let me help you out real quick. Let me show you how you can take the story you shared with me and apply it as a story that you can use in a networking environment when somebody asks you, what do you do? So in this scenario, I'm going to play Sam. You're going to be me. And you're all, on the count of three, you're all going to ask me, so what do you do? Sound good? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
So what do you do?
All right, thank you so much for asking me that question. Do you know the number one reason why police are called to a domestic dispute? Money is the number one reason for it. And it's usually a lack of money is why police get called to domestic disputes. And as a police officer, I kept showing up to these domestic disputes, and I just felt like I was just cleaning up the mess that had already happened. And then one day, as I'm sitting with my financial planner, it just hit home. It's like, oh my God, I know so much. This guy is doing exactly what I need to be doing. He's showing up before the damage is done. He's actually helping people so they don't need to call the police. He's like, in that moment, I started pumping for a bunch of questions, and I started taking all the online classes, and I graduated, I got my Series 1, I'm a certified financial planner now, and I left the police force to where I now work with people, and I teach financial literacy, and then I help people get financial freedom. My name's Sam, I'm a financial planner. Sam went from being one of a billion people out there, financial planners, right? Like, because if Sam comes up to you and says, I'm a financial planner, I already got one. I'm a real estate agent, I already got one. I do farmers insurance, I already got one. That's the first thing we say is we find a reason to discount that, right? I clean houses. My house doesn't need that, it's immaculate. Like hell it is. It's not. If you're anything like my roommate, there's like dishes under your bed. But it's what can we do to differentiate ourselves from everybody else? And it's the story of why you do what you do. Now, there's a couple things that I shared with Sam that I shared with you. And the first one is ask a clarifying question. And this really goes against the grain of everything that we know to be true unless you're a politician. A politician, you ask them a question and they will answer it a different way. So in that moment, when somebody asks you the question, so what do? You can have a clarifying question. Because Sam's clarifying question is, do you know the number one reason why police are called to a domestic dispute? And if you know the answer, you're like, oh, because of money. I can now pivot, like, oh, wow, how did you know that? How did you know that that's the reason that police get called? And I can now step away from this and just have a conversation on that portion to understand more about why they know these things. Again, I'm going back to the relationship side. But if they don't know, then I can tell the story of why it is that I became a financial planner. And that's numberability. Because whatever it is you do for a profession, there's 100 people that do the exact same thing. But there's only one person that has your story. So find out what that story is and lead with that. That's, again, putting the person before the profession and making a human emotional connection. Because in sharing this story about Sam, you all felt something. That's what we want to have. We want people to feel you, because that's how you become more memorable. So we've talked about getting into a conversation with the person before the profession. We've talked a little bit about when you get into that conversation, the what do you do, ask a clarifying question, and then share your story of why you do what you do. The third part of networking is how do I get out of this conversation? Like, oh my God, this has been going on too long. Like, ugh. One thing you can do is have a wing person. Somebody who is there that you bring to a network event with you, and they're like, hey, if you see me talking to this person for too long, would you mind just stepping in and I can pass the conversation to you while I get out? Or you can help break up the conversation, which, by the way, if you are in a conversation, is a little bit of etiquette, and somebody else comes and joins the conversation. What you can do, I call it, you want to give gifts to each other. I want to help you out. The fact that you had the courage to step into a conversation that's already happening is you deserve a little bit of a gift. And here's the gift that you can give. Let them know what you're talking about. If somebody were to step in with Ryan and I, be like, oh, we're talking about anniversaries and marriage. Are you married or celebrating an anniversary or anything like that? And give them an opportunity to join that conversation. Just bring them up to speed. You don't have to give them from the very beginning, like, oh, Ryan and I just met. The first question I asked was, just invite them in. And then invite them the opportunity to speak, and then the two of you can give them attention. It's a nice little gift, right? Little social grace there. But let's get into getting out of a conversation. This is oftentimes the hardest one. This is where things start to feel clunky. This is if you're learning how to drive a stick shift car, you start grinding those gears, start bucking back and forth. It's the easiest thing. It goes back to a gentleman by the name of Bob Burg. He's known as the Go-Giver. He wrote a book. It's a fable. It's incredible. It talks about networking. It's one of our core practices. But this is how you get out of any conversation. Before we wrap up this conversation, I have one last question for you. Before we wrap up this conversation, I have one last question for you. It says everything right there. It lets the person know, like, oh, this conversation is coming to an end. I have no idea. Like, you said, we're in a network event, we need to meet a bunch of people. So before we wrap up this conversation, I have one last question for you. How can I help you? Who are you looking to meet? Who within my network is somebody that I can introduce you to? By not making it about you up front, goes back to that dopamine rush. Suddenly that person's like, wow, somebody, I have an ally, I have a friend in all this, somebody who's here to help me. But here's the backside of that whole tee up question. Unless they're socially inept, which it happens, or they're really extreme narcissists, which also happens, they're going to reciprocate and ask that exact same question to you. That's the moment that we're waiting for. Because yes, we want to make introductions, because the most powerful thing that you can do, and BK is a master at this. I'm indebted to that man 10x, because at least once a week I'm in my, hey Keith, you should talk to this and this person. I talk about public speaking, and this isn't really interested. So he makes these introductions constantly. So to be the go-giver, to make introductions is a superpower to have in networking. But when that person comes, when you ask that, how can I help you? They're going to ask you the exact same question. So let me demonstrate how this works. On the count of three, you're going to ask me, how can I help you? You guys ready for this? All right. 3, 2, 1.
How can I help you?
Oh my God, thank you so much for asking. I so really appreciate that. One of the really important things in having a business is we can all agree, is social proof. The fact that we're out there, we're doing these things. So if you wouldn't mind helping me out today by bringing it a little bit closer, can we just do a selfie all here together? And then I can post, I can talk about Car Partners, I can talk about all of you, and we have a chance to just be able to bring each other closer today. Are you open to doing that?
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Bring it on in, everybody.
He's not really asking us. He's like,
Already in front of the camera. Ready? 2, 1. Get it!
All right, let's do a yearbook photo. Who remembers yearbook photos? All right, so that person's all like, somebody's like diving through the middle of the picture. No diving. But let's on the count of 3, we're going to go 3, 2, 1, yearbook photo, and then you're all going to strike a pose, make a funny face, point at somebody, do something, kiss somebody on the top of the head. Sure you can professionally do that. You guys all ready? You guys all ready? All right, here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Yearbook photo! Awesome. All right, everybody, my name is Keith Bailey. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We covered 3 things, right? We covered 3 things. Best questions to get a conversation going. How to put a story into why it is you do what you do. And the last thing is asking how it is that you can help somebody else. Maurice, would you mind going to my last slide? So I do have one other ask for you guys, if you don't mind. One more, sir. Is a huge part of my business is based on referral. And for all of you, if you have a chance to come up and speak and promote your business, if you take stages like this, there is a platform out there called Talkadot. It was invented by a professional speaker, and basically it's a QR code. And I wonder if that's going to work, Maurice, with the light over the top of it. Yeah, but what this is Talkadot. What it does is it asks you a couple of questions like, was this useful? Was this powerful? Would you come listen to Keith again? Do you book speakers? If you guys do book speakers, if you put on networking events, or if you host other things, it does work next week. Bring me in. This is something that I give back to the community. There's no monetary exchange here. There's an emotional relationship exchange here, which I believe is the greatest investment that we can make in each other, is giving of each other. Which is why I love doing this, because I want all of you to have fun in networking, because it can be fun. So if you wouldn't mind, if you're also interested in getting information about our 2-day practice lab, it's the first time that we're doing this. I've been in business for the last 4 years. My business partners and I, we've decided that we're going to move into doing more of a practice field, because it's interesting, as business professionals, we're the only ones that don't practice our craft of communication.
Got a question for you. I was chatting with these nice ladies here, and I'm from the older generation nowadays, right? The younger generation does not communicate the way we do. They're very introverted. They want to communicate via text or email. What techniques do you use on these kind of folks when you meet them?
This exact one is asking them the best question, and then sometimes you'll feel like a dentist, any dentists in the room, or I feel like you're gonna just pull a teeth, and you're like, I need more information, but you have to lean in, you have to keep asking these questions. And to me, that's the number one thing I do. And then I also will let them know as well. So, is there I know networking is just challenging, and I appreciate the fact that you're stepping into this whole thing. Is there anything I can do to help you? Just improve upon your networking? Would you be open to just some suggestions to make this a little bit easier? So to be able to step in, I'm with you as well. I'm also of the old school. I think most of us in here are, but what's interesting is the youth that's coming into the business world now. They're hungry for authentic connections, and the reason they act the way that they do is because nobody's ever shown them the other way. Right? We had no choice but to do this, and our parents showed us the way as well. This is a learned skill set. So that's one thing, and just asking open-ended questions and then creating the space to be able to give them a chance to speak, and then just to help them along. Does that answer your question?
Sure.
Yeah. And then also invite them to my 2-day practice lab. Where on day 1 we work on fundamentals, and even if we go to a network event, the next day we unpack the whole thing. It's like watching a game day video, and we build out a 90-day networking plan. And for what we believe in is the importance of being in a state of practice, because professional athletes spend more time scrimmaging and reading the playbook than they ever do playing the actual game. Musicians practice on their own before they practice with their band, long before they ever put on a show. Imagine what it would be like for you if you were to put yourself into a state of practice, and you had a group of people that you can come together with, where you can try new things out. You can try new pitches out. You can try out different ways of telling your story. You can get feedback from each other as well. That's the community that we're looking to create, is one where we have each other's back, we lift each other up, and be able to give each other the power of living a life well spoken. So thank you so much to Kip for giving me a chance to come in here. Thank you all so much for playing along as well. I so appreciate it. If there's anything that I can do to help you, reach out to me. You can also find me on LinkedIn. That's really the only social platform that I'm on. And ask me questions like that one. What can I do to help? And if I do a lot of work with youth. So if there's youth groups that you know, let me know. I'm happy to reach out to them. I've also started doing a lot of work with people who have been incarcerated that have found their way in and they're looking to get themselves back into the career world as well. because just because you've made one wrong step doesn't mean that you should be punished for the rest of your life. And you've also, like, you think the pandemic was bad for us. If you've been incarcerated, that's like being in a pandemic state for like a decade, if not more. So we need to help each other out. So in networking, ask best questions. Put the person before the question. Generally lean in with curiosity to get to know that person. Because if anything else, we're creating a better community and we're creating better friendships because that's what we need to have. One of the things I love to do is I love to walk down the street. I like to make eye contact. I make eye contact, start making eye contact with people. I'm gonna get off this stage because I will about to come down a whole nother road. Guys, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Give it back up for Mr. Kip Quinn.